Justin, like how powerful cells are, how important they are, like
Very powerful.
very, very, powerful, and how important the gut is. Like how important it is to be healthy, like in your gut and on the cellular level. And, you know, just taking in nutrients, like taking in a random supplement or something like that, doesn't mean you're actually being healthy. You're actually nourishing your cells on the cellular level. So why don't we dive into that a little bit about cell
Sounds
health
good.
and gut health?
So, you know, so like your gut, it is the core of your health. I say this
Absolutely.
all the time to anybody that listens to me ever. Your gut is the core of your health, not just because it's literally in the center of your body, not because it's just in your core, you know. It's the core of your health because everything else dictates off the health of your gut. If you have a sick gut, if you have a gut microbiome imbalance, if you have a digestive issue, if you got leaky gut, SIBO, Crohn's, anything like that, if you're having a problem in your gut, that is going to affect every other system, every other organ, everything else in your body, because everything depends on the health of your gut. Your gut is the linchpin. Everything else depends on that. So if you got a sick gut, I don't care how good you look, how many abs you have, I don't care how old you are, I don't care how little you get headaches or things like that. If you have an unhealthy gut and you're not prioritizing your gut health, you are not living as long as you could be.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And you're more prone to sickness. And you're more prone to like just literally having a literal crappy attitude. I'm not even kidding. Okay,
Totally.
so we'll dive into like what my reference there. But you know, your gut is extremely important, and you know, you cannot have a healthy mind unless you have a healthy gut.
Absolutely.
You cannot do it. You cannot do
100%.
it. And you know, remember, like in terms of cell health, you have like 100,000 cells that die like constantly, constantly. Like cells die, they get replaced. Well, they're not replaced. They just mitosis. Like they just make more. The old cell becomes new cells. But basically, if you, in order for your organs and your cells to be nourished, then that of course requires fuel, amongst other things. Like we can get like energy and stuff from like the sun, or you know, a bunch of different other people sometimes. There's a lot of different ways that we are fueled. It's not just with food, but in reference to the gut specifically, we need to be fueled properly. And you're not going to be feeding yourself properly, actually nourishing your cells properly, unless your food is being digested properly. And so that's a really big deal, because, you know, you digest properly in your gut, and then your blood is properly nourished, and then your blood goes everywhere, and then your brain is happy, and your cells are happy, and all your organs and organelles are happy. So it's, you know, it's really, really, really important to make sure, if you care about literally any aspect of yourself at all, that you do prioritize your gut health.
Absolutely. Like it will benefit everything. It'll benefit your mental clarity and your mental health, like Elle was talking about. It'll benefit your sleep, your exercise, your ability to put on muscle, your strength, your immune system, your energy throughout the day, like everything. Okay. So we're going to try to do our best to break this down as much as possible today, so you guys really get it. But, you know, just bottom line, if you get nothing else from this, just if you are not making sure that your gut is healthy, then nothing else in your body is as healthy as it could be. Yeah. Just that simple, you know? So, like, for example, your immune system, something that's mildly important.
Yeah, just a little bit, I'm pretty sure.
Just a little important, you know? Somewhere between like 75 and 80% of all the immune cells in your body are in your gut. Yeah. Okay? You have over 100 million neurons in your gut that are super responsible for your instincts and your emotions and your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay? The supply of nutrients to every part of your body is handled by your gut, by your digestive system. So if you have a toxic, unhealthy, really slow digestive system, then an analogy that I like to compare this to is sort of like you do an oil change in your car, but you don't change the oil filter. So all this brand new oil has to go through the oil filter that had all the clogged up old oil. And it just, by the time it reaches the engine, it's not clean anymore, because it had to go through a dirty filter, you know? And so things like changing your diet and exercising more and doing all the standard, I want to get healthy things, those are very important, but it can't stop there, you know? Like that's why we call ourselves holistic health coaches, not just like a health coach or a nutritionist or whatever.
Everything matters.
You know, everything matters. You have to look at every piece of the puzzle if you want to put the puzzle together.
Yeah.
Right. You start with the corner pieces maybe, and you work your way in, but like every piece of the puzzle has to be there. Otherwise there's going to be this big ass glaring hole with a gap in the middle, and you can't fix it. You can't complete it.
Yeah.
You need all the pieces to be working.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not just enough to like, and people like to say this, oh, a balanced diet. Like, it's not enough to just like eat some veggies and, you know, prioritize protein or, you know, work out here.
Well, they don't even know what balanced diet means.
That's the thing. Like, people
they don't
just
even understand food or nutrition enough to know what a balanced diet looks like.
I don't know if you guys like, you know, taken notice of, but the food pyramid that we've had since when did it come out? Like
70s or
20s, something like that. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the food pyramid has not helped us be healthier as a society. We are only getting less healthy as a society. And, you know, obesity and diabetes and cancer and all these like horrible chronic conditions are expected to increase. They're projected to increase and increase and increase. And so, you know, just specifically in terms of nutrition, it shows that the way that we've been told to eat hasn't been working well. Because if it was actually nourishing us properly, then we wouldn't have so many people suffering from these chronic conditions.
Totally.
You guys, if you take care of yourself properly, you fuel your body properly, you're going to do a lot better in terms of your health. Okay.
Way better.
So,
you know, like there a lot of the diseases and the conditions and the problems that people experience today, like a lot of them can be avoided.
Yes,
Dude,
absolutely.
A lot of them are caused by poor lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, there's crap happens. Some people are born with issues, and some people, you know, maybe have genetic predispositions that make them more likely or susceptible to getting a certain condition or disease or something like that. You know, like, and I understand that, but you know, for the vast majority of the health problems that people have, like they are avoidable. It's not like all of a sudden everything was going perfectly and you wake up and you have stage 4 cancer.
Yeah, you just wake up and you have like diabetes or something. It happens.
There's a cause and an effect to everything, you know, and so it's just making sure that you understand what things affect your health and affect your level of sickness and affect your immune system and all these things, and just trying to create a lifestyle and make as many decisions as possible that are going to support that and support the life that you want, not to support the life that you don't want.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and a huge factor in you being healthy or not, in you living a long time or not, in you being free of sickness and disease or not, is your gut. Okay. Like if you can only get one thing right in your lifestyle for your health, you got to get your gut right.
Absolutely.
Everything else is dependent on that.
Absolutely.
You know, like your mental health, for example, that's a big thing that's going around. It's getting more and more popularity these days as more and more people get anxious and depressed, and more and more people have problems. It becomes a bigger topic of discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the neurotransmitters, the brain chemicals, most of them, and it ranges depending on what we're talking about, you know, but like serotonin, norepinephrine, adrenaline, things like that, like all the chemicals that go up into your brain, a lot of them get manufactured in your gut. Okay, so your gut's like a manufacturing plant for all the chemicals that go up into your head that regulate how you feel, that regulate how well you can manage stress and how happy you are in the morning and all these kinds of things. And so if your manufacturing plant is all jacked up and you got holes and dents in the conveyor belt and you got a manufacturing defect that nobody caught and everything is coming out wrong and you're manufacturing a bunch of these chemicals in improper balances or at slower or faster speeds than you're supposed to because of a nutritional deficiency or because of, you know, an impairment in your gut due to like heavy metal toxicity or some other kind of toxin or pollutant that's in there. And then you have all this big clump of chemicals that's supposed to go up to your brain to make you feel either happy or sad or anxious or stressed or excited or encouraged or whatever. And the manufacturing plant had a bunch of defects and it had a bunch of lemons, and you get all that sent up through your gut brain axis into your head. Of course you're going to not feel great because the chemicals that are regulating how you feel are all out of whack, you know? So just things like that, like your gut can connect to every other part of your body, every part of your life. So just, you know, today we're going to be talking a lot about the gut and just making sure that you guys know how to have a very healthy one.
Absolutely.
Because that's probably the biggest thing that we can do for you. If we can teach you anything as coaches, it's going to be to get your gut health right, because that will be like the biggest factor that will determine your ability to avoid disease and how long you live and how happy you are and all these things. You know?
And yeah, it affects so many different things. And
so many things.
Let's talk about like, you know, a lot of people when they think about health, they focus so much on genetics. And so obviously that's important, but let me give you guys an example. So in my family, we are more prone to diabetes. A lot of people in my family have had diabetes. and so, you know, for instance, like, I remember even when I was little, I was like asking my mom, like, you know, how did this happen? And she was like, you know, explaining to me how we have more prevalence of that. And so, of course, like, and what she described was it was poor lifestyle choices. And she said, like, when she was little, she remembered her mom, like sitting in bed, eating a huge 5-gallon tub of ice cream with a bunch of like chocolate sauce on top of it. Wow. And then she's like, yeah, so I saw a lot of that going on in my family. So just be cautious, you know, when it comes to your lifestyle. Sure. And like, here's the thing, you know, like genes are, you know, like your genetic makeup, it matters, and your predispositions to like disease matters. And that's why, like, for instance, for me, when I knew about that, I had to, you know, adjust my lifestyle as such. So I prioritize my gut health because of that. I know that I'll never, ever, ever be pre-diabetic. I'll never be diabetic. I'll never have any heart conditions. I'll never have to worry about that because I know, and I've learned from you and your dad, you know, how to actually take care of the body. Because if you are having a symptom, like a condition, like a disease, like type 2 diabetes or whatever the situation is going on, that means there is a problem in the organic machine. There's a problem going on. There is a miscommunication. There is a toxic buildup. There's an imbalance. There's something. And so obviously, you know, like the human body, an organic machine, it's a lot more complicated than a machine. But if something's going wrong with your car, then you take it to a mechanic and then you find out what's going on until the problem is resolved. You don't just keep driving and just hope that it'll change. You don't just avoid the problem. Okay? Like if that's just not a good plan for success. And if I hadn't met you guys and I kept eating the way I was eating, because like I used to have like the biggest sweet tooth ever. I was addicted to coffee. I was constantly tired. Even at 18, I was like walking around like a zombie. Why do I feel this way? Oh, it's so weird. You know what I was told? Oh, it's because you're getting older. When I was 18. When I was 18 years old. If you like, you should not feel tired. You should not have issues with sleep. You should not have like any of these symptoms, especially, and I'm not just talking about people who are like super young, like in their teens or something like that. You know, you look at the lifespan of people nowadays, and let's say it's 80. And personally, Justin, I believe people are meant to live way longer than 80. But let's say, no doubt in my mind. Let's say, for the point of the analogy, that it's 80, okay? And people, when they're even 30 or 40 or 20, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm just getting older. I'm so tired. I'm so run down." That's only your half-life. That's only 40 is only your half-life. If you're already feeling crappy now. Yeah. Imagine what's going to happen when you're 60, the next 10 years. 50. Like 10 years after that. It's like, it's just, you know, like most of the time, there's obviously exceptions, there's outliers. Yeah. Most of the time, people typically get worse as they get older. Yeah. You know, people typically get more unhappy, they get more pain, they get slower, they shrink more, they get more brittle and weak. And that's because, you know, obviously we age. Everybody's going to age. But the way that you age isn't always different. Like how come you can find one dude who's 77 years old and he's still surfing every day on the beach and he's got, you know, a 6-pack and he's well built and he's got energy all day long, and you have another person who's 77 and they're, you know, bedridden in a hospital because they're 30, 40 pounds overweight, and, you know, they're talking about maybe cutting off their foot because they got really bad type 2 diabetes. Like, how can you have one person, same age, another person same age, completely radically different levels of health and physical ability? You know, it's choices. It's choices. And, you know, like Elle was saying, there's obviously a factor when it comes to genetics, and people have, you know, are dealt different cards and things like that, obviously. But even if hypothetically, let's say you are dealt really bad cards, you do have like just bad genes, you know, whatever the hell that even means. But you got bad genes, you know, you're more likely to get cancer, you're more likely to get an autoimmune condition. It's harder for you to put on muscle. It's easier for you to put on fat around your midsection, so it's really tough to get a 6-pack, or like whatever it is that you care about that you're blaming on genetics. Let's say you're dealt a really bad hand, and, you know, for you it's like 30-40% harder to get to the same level of health as the next person
because you got just terrible genetics. Okay. Is that a valid enough reason to just accept it and lie down and just take it? The answer is no. No, it's not. Who cares if it's 30, 40% harder for you than the next person? Doesn't mean that it can't be done. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Doesn't mean that, maybe you're not going to ever get to the place like Elle and I where you just stop getting sick ever again. Like I haven't been sick once in 23 years. Elle's not been sick once in like 6.5, almost 7 years, literally since the day that we met. Okay. And so what?
It's been 7 years? Almost 6?
Almost.
Holy heck. Anyways, sorry.
You guys saw what just happened? You guys saw what just happened? That was an Uno reverse card. Normally the guy gets the date wrong. Okay.
It wasn't.
How long have you been married? 16 years. 16 years? It's been 17 years, you son of a... You guys saw what just happened there?
I'm son of a daughter.
Okay. It happens, all right? Sometimes we can pull one up, boys. Okay? Don't give up hope. Anyway, so, let's say that it's harder for you than it is for the next person. And it's not possible for you to get to that level of health where you just don't get sick ever again across the board, right? For the record, I don't really know if that's true. I believe that there are people that, it's going to be harder than others, of course, but everybody can dramatically improve, regardless of anything else, But let's just say for the sake of the story that no matter what you do, no matter how perfect your diet is, no matter how clean your insides are, no matter how healthy your organs are, no matter how much you exercise and work out and do positive affirmations, and no matter what you do, it's just not possible for your body to get to the place where you just don't get sick ever again and your immune system just is working all the time. Okay? Doesn't mean that you can't go from getting sick 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year to maybe once or twice a year or once every few years. Like, even if you can't get to 100%, you can still get way better than where you're at now.
Significantly.
So just because it's like, there was this one time, I'll bring up this story. There was a family that we were working with. I think I was maybe like 13, 14, something like that.
Before?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh, okay.
and it was this big family. They had like 4 or 5 kids, and so it was just we spent a lot of time with them, and I got to know the kids. And I was talking with one of their sons, and he was close to my age. He was like one of the middle kids, and I was looking at him, and just I started to notice more and more that like his teeth were just always really yellow, like super super yellow. Like, he never brushed his teeth. It didn't look like ever. Oof. And one day I'm like, dude, like, why, like, do you brush your teeth? Like, why are your teeth so yellow? Like, it was real freaking bad. Like, he looked like he was, like a homeless person or something like that. But he was like a, well put together, middle income family kid, no reason to have yellow teeth, right? And then he's like, oh, well, I went to the my parents brought me to the dentist, when I was little. And he told me that I had this weird thing going on where I build up plaque on my teeth way faster than most people. So I just stopped brushing my teeth because it's an uphill battle. I'm not going to get rid of my plaque. And I will never understand that thinking. Instantly, I'm just like, dude, what do you mean? That's not a reason to not brush your teeth. That means that you need to brush your teeth more than the rest of us. Like, you have a bigger need to brush your teeth than I do, son. What the hell's going on? And then it just didn't click. But just there's people that think like that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. They get hit with some kind of a disadvantage in life, and then they just roll with it and just accept that as the normal. Like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense. People these days, like, they quit way too early. Because they quit it all. Like, quitting it all is quitting too early. Mm-hmm. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
See what I did there? Right? That was good.
That was a good one. I should tweet that.
So yeah, sorry. Okay, back to the gut health. But just, anything that you've been labeled as or any condition you've been told, is a lifelong thing or whatever, even if hypothetically you do have a problem that you're never going to fix, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't spend every day of your life trying to make it as small of a problem as possible. That's my point. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay? Because we talk to people all the time, and they're like, I got this diagnosis and this label, and I got this thing. And then, a huge part of our job in the beginning when we're talking with people or working with a family or signing on a new client, like, a huge part of it is just giving them hope in the beginning that their problems can even be fixed, Mm-hmm. And just, there's something going on. There's something in the air. People just don't got hope anymore these days.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so just get some hope back. Because you can and you need it. And without it, like, life's going to suck. And if you're going to live anyway, you might as well work and strive for a life that doesn't suck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen.
So let's make your life less sucky by making gut health better.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think part of the point of like what we wanted to really drive in there was there are a lot of people who have been dealt a bad hand of cards but they're still trying to find an answer. They're still looking for an answer. They're still, making sure they get their sunlight, or they, eat more fiber, or, sure, all those basic kind of things for like improving your health. And so that's wonderful. And if you haven't found like the exact way to resolve your issues yet, that's just because like it's not really made available. Unfortunately, there's a lot of info out there that's either incorrect or it's not correct for you, because everyone is different. But our really point here is that, just like Justin said, regardless of what anyone has said, like your friend when you were younger, with his teeth, acquaintance. I couldn't be friends with someone with such a weak mindset. It's just, our point is like, just because you've been labeled as something doesn't mean you have to listen to that. Doesn't mean you have to bow down to that fear or to that restriction in your life. It may take some creativity, it may take some time, it may take some extra effort for sure, but that doesn't mean that you have to give up. If you quit it all, you're quitting too early.
We've had clients that have been trying to fix their health for 30, 40 years. Yeah. And they've spent tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases, with no improvement at all. But they just didn't quit, and they kept on going until they found the answer. And for them, the answer just happened to be us. It just happened to be the right plan and working with the right people. And then, we were able to get everything sorted out. Okay. But like, just the point being, doesn't matter what's going on, doesn't matter how bad things are, doesn't matter how wacky your life is, like, do not quit fighting to make it a good life, to make the life that you want. Because if somebody else can do it, and you can bet your bottom dollar that with all the people that have ever been born, somebody has had a problem like yours, and they've found a way to beat it. Absolutely. So if they can, you can too. Just that simple.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about some of the like scam gut health, or like the misunderstanding. I don't like to use the word misinformation because that's like thrown around all over the place.
It's a buzzword now.
You know what I mean?
Fake news.
There's a lot of fake news out there.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
But anyways, let's talk about some of the scammy things. Like, there is a lot of
kombucha.
Kombucha. Oh my God, I was thinking of like fit tea or like all the. Okay,
same shenanigans. Okay, kombucha, fit tea, probiotics, like all these things, they can be good. Okay, but so many laxatives. So many people find like a remedy. They'll find like some ancient herb, like ginkgo biloba or like shilajit or something like that. Like they'll find like a thing that's really healthy and really good. And then they'll take that thing and they'll rely solely on their health to be dependent on the thing they're taking or the thing that they're buying or the thing that they're doing, this whatever remedy it is. And then they just use that as a crutch to live the rest of their life garbage, like kombucha, I'm not a big fan, but I understand the concept of it, and you can definitely make it a good, healthy thing. Yeah. But I do not care how good your kombucha is, how much money you spend on kombucha, how much kombucha you replace with soda you replace with kombucha. Like, kombucha is not going to replace a bad diet. Kombucha is not going to replace an overabundance of bacterial killing chemicals from medications and antibiotics and toxins and poison in the air, alcohol, and in the water and in the food, and chlorine in your shower, and all these kinds of things that just wreak havoc on the gut flora and your immune system. Kombucha is not going to replace all that. It might slow down how much that stuff affects you. It might be a great thing to add to your life if you're getting it right. Okay, for the most part, almost everything that we've seen so far on the shelves is just not worth the investment. It's not going to do anything for you. But the amount of people that I've seen that drink kombucha every day and are still 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight and have a blatantly obvious gut condition is retardedly high, So some things like that, it's not like you're not going to be able to substitute a bad thing by just doing one extra good thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like you have to figure out the causes of the problem and then attack the problem at the root, at the cause, and not just try to put a Band-Aid over it. Like an analogy that we use to explain our thoughts on like the way that the modern medical system is put together, the way that they think, not doctors, not nurses, not anybody in particular, just the system and the way that it's run these days It's almost like you go in for a checkup and you're talking to the doctor and it's like, hey doc, I keep getting this black eye all the time. I don't know what's going on, but I get this black eye. And then they do some tests and they find out that you have a black eye because you're constantly punching yourself in the face. You're just hitting yourself over and over and over again. And nobody ever taught you that punching yourself in the face was not a good idea. And just for some reason, you started doing this as a kid and you just kept on doing it, right? You're just hitting yourself in the face over and over again.
You had a predisposition to hit yourself in the face.
Exactly. And so you just always have this black eye. And instead of the doctor sitting you down and trying to explain to you that punching yourself in the face is just not good for your eye health, okay, and if you don't stop doing that, the black eye is never going to go away, he's going to recommend to you and prescribe to you a helmet. So that way the punch in the face hurts less. You know, it's like you have high blood pressure, and then instead of trying the doctor or the nurse or a nutritionist or anybody that you're going to as an expert trying to tell you to eat less processed food that are loaded up with crazy amounts of artificial chemical-based sodiums and tons of sugars and fillers and preservatives and all these things that are affecting your blood sugar, your blood pressure, and making you, you know, at a much higher risk to get obese and a much higher risk to get heart disease and all these crazy things. They just, you know, put you on a pill to regulate your blood pressure. They put you on a statin, things like that. Like, you know, it's all just about Band-Aids and trying to allow you to keep doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put it, you know, politically correct.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you have to, you know, get to the root of the problem. And then once the root of the problem is identified and isolated and you know what to do about it, you put a plan together to fix the problem. And then once the problem's fixed, if it takes you 2 weeks and all you have to do is just make one simple change to your diet and cut out a couple chemicals from your home, or if it takes you 10 years to learn how to do these things, like regardless, you put the plan together, you follow the plan, and you adapt it as you go along, and you just don't quit until the problem's fixed.
Absolutely. Right? Okay, so let's get back to this. You know, one of the things also, Justin, that I think is like, well, obviously, is really hard for people too, is people don't care enough about themselves to actually take care of themselves. They don't care enough about themselves to like really put their health into their hands and to take accountability, because they do just want a Band-Aid. Sure. And sometimes even when you do tell them like the extremities of what this can do to them, like in the long run, or even like right now, and all the symptoms that they're going to experience right now from lack of sleep, from not prioritizing gut health, all these things, they don't care enough to change. They don't care enough to get rid of the energy drinks, or to cut out cigarettes, or to drink enough water, you know, to exercise, for, you know, all these really, really important lifestyle habits. Right. They don't care enough. And
I think the root of that is just going to come down to the fact that they got no freaking clue what they're missing out on.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely. But another thing too is like you said with the contrast, is if they did take a chance and they did improve their health, they would improve their mind. Oh yeah. Like significantly. If Huge. You like, people don't understand like how. Sorry, I said like a lot. People don't understand how much you are bringing down the way you feel about yourself, bringing down the way you see the world, bringing down like just your thought process overall, just by not prioritizing your health. And the emptiness that people are feeling right now, and the lack of care that they have for themselves, would significantly improve if they just lived a healthy lifestyle and made better choices.
Totally. Totally. People have no clue how good they could feel. Yeah. And when you feel good, your mood's better. When your mood's better, you're just a happier person. Happier people are more grateful. Happier people are more successful. Happier people are better as husbands and wives and parents and sons and daughters and friends and coworkers and just everything in general, you know? Yeah. So yeah, sorry, we kind of got on a bit of a rant there. That typically happens. I mean, if you've seen more than one episode, like you know,
we're passionate. That's the way it's supposed to be.
It's just par for the course. Like it's part of the package.
It is. It's package deal. And you know, another thing too is like people want to see like more of the insight, not just the facts. Sure. They want to see like how, you know, how we feel about it. And then they, you know, because a conversation like this, it helps people, and this is why I'm happy for this podcast. It helps people to think a lot more about you know, what they're doing, because like facts, they can tell you a lot, but they're not really telling you a lot. They're not really showcasing a lot to you necessarily. But when you see someone, you know, who is passionate, who does like genuinely care, and yes, the facts are helpful, but when you really like express to another person like you know, how important this is, and you share your own perspective on it, then you can really help them to make better choices for themselves. Yeah. And so, you know, maybe any of you guys listening up, maybe you guys have people in your lives that don't care enough about themselves to prioritize their gut health and to, you know, make sure that they're being properly nourished and to do all these healthy things.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
But, you know, if you being the example is what?
What?
Okay, sorry. I thought you were trying to say something. But you being the example and, you know, you sharing with them like how you feel and your perspective on this and like how important it is to you for them to be better is what is needed for them to change. And that might take time, that might take extra effort, like we said, but it's really, really, really important because you know, why, if you're going to live life, why not make it the best version that it can be?
Absolutely.
And that involves being healthy.
Absolutely. So back to misconceptions about gut health and things like that, you know? So yeah, like the biggest thing I can just say is there's so many different tricks and hacks and remedies and one trick ponies that are supposed to, you know, improve gut health by X%, or, you know, make it X easier to live a healthy life, you know? And like those things, a lot of them don't work. A lot of them do work. Depends on the person a little bit. Depends on how strict and disciplined you want to be.
To an extent.
the most important thing that is going to affect your gut health is the macro of what you do. It's your lifestyle. It's not any one particular thing. Okay, there's lots of stuff that affect it more than others for sure. You know, like being well hydrated is unbelievably important to maintain gut health and maintain the health of your bacteria and your immune system and the function of your digestive system and all these things. Okay, your pH levels are very important. What you eat and what you drink and your stress levels and your emotional health and all these kinds of things. Like there's a lot that can affect it. And if we could maybe really nail that down to like one particular thing, it would be just cutting out as much of the bad stuff in your body as possible, as much of the toxins and the poisons that negatively affect the efficiency of your body and how well you can function, you know, cutting out the heavy metals and cutting out the pesticides and the chlorine and the fluoride and all these things that you guys have heard about, all the forever chemicals, the endocrine disrupting chemicals, the fine particulate matter, just all the stuff that gets into the body from everyday, day-to-day life and will slow down your metabolism. It'll impede digestion. It'll, you know, suppress your immune system, all these things. Just, you can do so much work just by cutting out the garbage, cutting out the bad stuff, by doing a natural detox, by, you know, replacing the water in your body from crappy garbage, toxic water filled with microplastics and chlorine, all these kinds of things, to fresh, you know, healthy filtered water, ionized water from a natural place in the middle of the wilderness, if you can find one of those anymore these days. I don't know, but, you know, just cutting out the bad stuff, getting the bad things out of the body, and then replacing those with good. You can't just only replace with good and then ignore the bad. You have to correct the damage that's been done by the bad in the first place. Otherwise, the good can't really work nearly as well, you know? So like, I'm kind of bringing up my analogy from before about the oil change thing. A lot of people, they learn about gut health, they learn about their gut microbiome and their immune system, and they hear all these big buzzwords like, oh, 80% of your immune system's in your gut, and your gut microflora can affect the efficacy of your lymphatic system and all these kinds of things, right? They hear all these buzzwords and they learn some stuff, and that's fantastic. Yeah. But then they don't look at the history or like how they got there in the first place. They just try to find solutions and figure out what to do now. And you need to do that, and that's super important. But like if you just, you know, get on some buzzwords and you replace your diet, let's say you go eat a lot more raw food, you try to eat a bigger variety of vegetables, let's say you try to eat some more fermented stuff like sauerkraut or kimchi or things like that, because you heard that fermented foods can really help with the, you know, variety and the health and the number of the good bacteria in your gut. And yeah, that's true, right? And so you do some of these things and you try to make some good lifestyle corrections, and that's awesome. That's fantastic. You have to do that. But everything still has to go through this clogged up, junky oil filter, right? So let's say you're like everybody else, because the average person has, you know, accumulated somewhere between like 5 to 15 pounds of undigested waste in their colon. And for the record, to make that really clear, I'm talking about poop. I'm talking about human feces. I'm talking about sewage, sludge, disgusting, just the things we've seen come out of people is gross. All right. And almost everybody has that, because almost everybody has some kind of digestive problem. And if your body, one of the things that is a big factor in how well your gut works, is just if you're not digesting something properly, you won't eliminate it properly either. And so it accumulates and it builds up, and then all of a sudden you get these impactions, you get this distension in your colon, in your small intestines, and you get all this just literal poop that builds up inside of a person. Okay, right? Kind of like tying into your shitty mood, right? And so you try to eat this new way of eating, you fix your diet, but all the food still has to go through this literal organ system full of poop. So the nutrients from the spinach and the vitamins and the minerals and the amino acids and the proteins from your steaks and all these things and all this awesome whole food natural based diet that you're doing and all this fermented stuff, like that can help, and that's good. We're not adding to the problem anymore. But it still has to go through this clogged up, junky, disgusting manufacturing plant that is your gut, with literal crap all over the walls, all over the conveyor belts and the floor. It reeks, it smells, it's dirty, and there's nothing is going to come out good. And even if you had a perfect diet, it can't work nearly as well, because the way that it works in your body is all these things have to go through this junked up, clogged up system that you call your gastrointestinal tract. Right? So you have to get that fixed up. And it's not just about correcting things and like trying to find the best possible answer. It's also about undoing bad that's already been done. Because if you have a gut issue, if you have a gut disease, if you have SIBO or leaky gut or Crohn's or IBS or something like that, it didn't just happen for no reason. There has been damage that has been done to your gut and to your organ systems, to your colon, your small intestines, your pancreas, your stomach, your liver, your kidneys, all these things leading to where you have that kind of a condition. Okay? Something had to have happened to get you to that place. You didn't just wake up one morning, your gut was perfect, you had perfect bowel transit time, perfect digestion, you had the right amount of enzymes and gut microbiome, everything was perfect, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you got the runs for 3 weeks straight because you got IBS. Okay, that doesn't just happen for no reason. It's not a gradual. It's a gradual process. It's not a one day everything's perfect, the next day things kind of all collapse. Something had to lead you to that place. Okay, and it's almost always going to happen over a longer period of time. Right? Like people go in, they get a cancer diagnosis. It's not like they didn't have cancer last week. That cancer, all those cancer cells, that tumor, everything that they find has been developing over months and years and over a long period of time. Yeah. Right? It doesn't just happen overnight. Okay? And so you have to first, identify the problem, like we talked about, and you have to look for solutions and look for corrections, and you have to look to improve the things that you're doing. But at the same time, you have to look at undoing all the damage that's already been done. You have to clean out the system. You have to do a reset. You have to make sure that there's no toxins and poison that's affecting your liver and your kidneys and your other elimination organs. So that way you don't ever build up stuff ever again. Okay? You have to make sure that there's nothing that's in your body affecting and suppressing your immune system, because your immune system's super important for everything in your life. And I'll tell you right now, if you're trying to follow a diet, it's way easier to follow a diet when you feel good versus when you got the cold, or you have a flu, or you got a fever, or you're just feeling super run down. That ice cream, that cheesecake, that apple pie, that Big Mac, all the things that are bad for you, is way more tempting when you're feeling run down, when you're low energy, when you're weak.
Absolutely.
Right? So keeping yourself strong is very, very important for consistency and making sure that you can even stick to a plan in the first place. Because, planning is very important, but sticking to the plan is just as important as having a good one.
Yeah. If not more important, because then you're never gonna see the harvest of the plan.
Exactly.
Like, it's so satisfying when you have proper digestion too.
Oh yeah. There's the highlight of anyone's day is going to be a nice healthy dump.
It's true.
Okay, it's such a relieving feeling, especially if you've been dealing with constipation before in your life. You guys can check out our website. We got a story up there that we just posted not too long ago of one of our guys that was working with us. He had pretty much chronic constipation almost his entire life. Okay, and now that's all been corrected. Can you imagine how good that would feel to be constipated your whole life and then finally have a good healthy poop? Geez, I know it's kind of an uncomfortable subject sometimes, but it's very important to people. It's very, 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 very important. As uncomfortable as it is to talk about it, it's not nearly as uncomfortable as not being able to get it out.
Yeah. So would you rather have it resolved or like, I mean, we can, I personally use the term fecal matter, especially when I'm talking like to women about it, like just cause.
Sometimes you got to put a little bit of a shock factor in there, you know?
That's
Drop
true.
a poop.
That's true.
Drop a crap.
It's
drop a shit, you know?
It's so weird too, because like when I first met you guys, I would get so uncomfortable when you guys would like talk about it.
It was really cute.
And now I'm like comfortable with the word poop now. Like it's just because we have to talk to people about it so much, because this is one of the one of the biggest parts of detoxing is like for people to have proper bowel transit time. Totally. And majority of people are constipated. They don't have proper bowel transit time. And they are suffering big time from it. Okay. If you are clogged up, okay, literally in your pipes, in your large intestines, even in your small intestines, if you're clogged up with human sewage, with poop, with fecal matter, whatever word you would like to use, then you are going to have a crappy attitude. You are going to deal with auto-intoxication. And auto-intoxication, as in mean you are literally intoxicating yourself. Because remember, all of that fecal matter that's being clung to the walls like of your tubes, of your large intestines, and sometimes even your small intestines, is getting into the blood.
Well, a lot of the time in the small intestines.
Yeah, it's getting into the blood, and that's going everywhere. So you're dealing with...
not even that. I'm going to get weird right now.
Oh, okay.
I want to paint a picture for you guys, because I really want you to understand the seriousness of what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is... Yeah.
You know, obviously everybody's had a poop before. You know, you're alive, right?
Hopefully.
It's not a good sight. It's not something that people want. Like, you know, if you like step in some poop in the backyard from the dog, like you're freaking out, you're flipping out, like you're having a hissy fit. It's going to be a bad day. That? Exactly. You know, so
Pigeon like takes a dump on your car.
Picture this. You know, we've literally had people that have done detoxes with us, and they have pooped out stuff that was in their body for 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Yep.
Okay, I'm not going to name any names, because this is a really, you know, it's a very personal story for whoever this person is, all right? There was this one lady, I want to say I was maybe like, I don't know, 6 or 7, like a long, long time ago. This was someone that my dad was working with, and she was talking with my dad one day, and she literally, long story short, she literally had a bowel movement, okay? And it was so weird and freaky to her that she got on some of those yellow cleaning gloves that you see like cleaning ladies wear, right? Or if you're like scrubbing a toilet bowl or something like that, just like the really thick plastic ones, you know, that go down to your forearms, right? And she put on a couple of those, and she stuck her hands in the bowl, and she was trying to mess around and just fiddle with this and just feel it and just see that it was like a real thing that came out of her body, okay? And it was a few long rubbery like pieces. They were black as the ace of spades. There was like, she compared it to the rubber that they used to make car tires. Like it was bendable and malleable. Like she couldn't break it apart. She couldn't rip it. It was just like this long, stringy piece of just tar that came out of her body. Okay, that happened multiple times. That's happened with many, many people. Like we could literally do like a 6-hour podcast just of like 1,001 poop stories of things that people have told us. Like it's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. The amount of unsolicited pictures and videos, and
you don't want to know. We never asked.
Described video for the visually impaired, parental discretion advised, like just stories that I have in my head. It's crazy, but you know, it's worth it, because getting people healthy and, you know, being a part of saving some lives and things like that, like it changes who you are as a person. Well, we're going to be doing this until we no longer got breath in our lungs.
Yeah,
you know, it's just that simple.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I'm trying to get back to painting this picture for you. Okay, you know. That is a common thing. Like not everybody's going to poop out tar. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But imagine how long a bowel movement, some poop would have had to been in that person, in that human being, inside of their body for a human bowel movement to turn into tar. How long would that take? Would it take 6 months? Would it take 3 years? Would it take 5 years? Would it take 10 years? Like, it's a long time. Look at tar in nature. How long does it take tar in nature to develop? You know, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take a long time for a poop to turn into black, rubbery tar that you cannot rip apart by playing around with your hands. You know, things like that. Like so many different stories. But bottom line is, if you have not done some kind of a detox with your gut, with your gastrointestinal tract, with your colon, with your small intestines, if you have not been regular with your bowel movements, if you have not been one meal in, one poop out for a long period of time, you have an accumulation of waste in your system. You have accumulation of poop in your colon, in your small intestines. Okay? And that is a huge reason why you can go to our website, why you can go to our YouTube channels, and why you can talk to any of the people that we work with, why all of you that are in Warrior Nation, like how you guys can hear stories where people are losing, like 10, 20 pounds in a month or in a couple weeks. Like speaking of diabetes, okay? We got a guy in our group program right now. We were able to get his blood sugar normalized in like 12 days, so that's really cool. But he also lost like 14 pounds in 2 weeks. Okay. Another guy, he didn't have any diabetes or anything like that, but he lost 24 pounds in his first month. Okay. I'll tell you, with both of those dudes, I was not looking at their calories. No, we were not doing some kind of a calorie restriction. They weren't working their ass off in the gym. It was just normal, everyday, day-to-day life. The only thing we were doing was putting them through a detox. And so they released, tens of pounds of toxins and actual crap from their bodies. Like, we've had people that have 2 and 3 pound poops. Okay. It's just ridiculous. It's insane, the fact that this is even real, but it is, and it's not like we enjoy having this conversation, but it's just necessary. Something that needs to be talked about, because nobody's talking about it. And if nobody ever told you that you have rotting, putrefying crap inside of your body, then, now somebody has, and you now have the opportunity to do something about it. Like, you put yourself through a gut cleanse that'll actually work. Like, you join Warrior Nation, you go through the Elite Health 90-Day Challenge, and you start, cleaning out your gut. Like, you will see freaky things. Every one of our clients do. Every person we've ever worked with has, because everybody's got freaky things in their body in the first place. And if you're not getting it out, it's staying in you, and it's disgusting. Yeah. And if the people that made Shrek haven't coined this term, we got to trademark it. But like Shrek always says, freaking better out than in.
Yeah, okay? Honestly.
It's bananas.
Yeah, and it's not even just like, people who are older or people who like have extra weight on them. It's also if you're
we've small, detoxed like 18-month-old babies before that are constipated. Babies that are constipated.
Or if you're skinny too, like you'll still have that.
Totally.
You'll still have that, even if you're a size like 2, a size 0.
We got a guy right now. He's a relatively skinny dude. He's not like anorexic or anything like that, but he's one of the big things he wants to do with us is put on some muscle. Yeah. Okay. And he's been constipated his whole life. And he's got a 6-pack, super low body fat, like easily below 10%. Okay. He's one of those, like, he can eat whatever he wants and just never doesn't put on weight type dudes.
Eat whatever he wants, never puts on weight.
Exactly. Right. But he's been constipated almost his entire life. Okay. And he's even seeing stuff come out of his body that he's like, how the hell was this in me? Like, he's a flat stomach, flat belly, full 6-pack, veins, abs, everything. And he's still having stuff come out of him. Yeah. It's ridiculous, right?
Absolutely.
So how do we actually do this? Like, we should probably get into some of that.
Well, let me just go over like one other point. Like, it's because especially like if someone's like smaller, it's like, how can like 10 to 15 pounds be inside of me? Okay. So, in the large intestines, what happens is, like, as fecal matter or stool is like just being passed through so it can be excreted, any extra water is pulled from it. As it's going through the tube. Okay, so so your body can recycle it. And so what happens is, if your stool gets stuck in the large intestines, it'll stay up against the wall, and because the water, any extra water is being pulled out through the large intestine, then it'll get smaller and smaller and smaller till it'll be like a clump. It'll get just more dehydrated. Okay, just really small, and so you have a bunch of things just like cling to the walls. You can fit a lot in there, more than you realize. The gut is
guys. We have
huge.
Pictures in some presentations that we bring people through, like, just to grasp this. Like, we have seen, we've worked with, and seen actual pictures and live surgeries done where people have like literally 100-pound colons. Like, their colon,
just their colon
is 100 pounds, and they're like a 300-400 pound person. Okay. They're 1/3 shit. Just in case the numbers didn't quite add up there. In case, that wasn't quite quick maths. They were 1/3 poop. 1/3 of the weight of their human being was freaking fecal matter. You know what I'm saying? That is how the hell can that even happen inside of a person? You can go and you can look it up online. All right, go on Google. You can type in like pictures of like megacolons or large colons or whatever you want, whatever terms there are. There's lots of different ones out there, and you can see these pictures for yourselves of these surgeries that are done where these people are chronically constipated. They're on their they're in a life or death situation. They have an emergency because they can't poop. We've had people that they couldn't poop for 2 months, not a single poop for over 2 months because they're so constipated. Okay. Like, these things happen all the time. There's a reason why all you ladies watching, sorry if you're watching this with your boyfriends, I'm going to reveal some secrets here. I've learned this because of what I do, all right? And this is a very important conversation, so please forgive me. If you have some harsh words to say, direct it towards Elle. She can handle it better than I can. I'm kidding. Don't do that. But, I'm sensitive, so just try to be nice, okay? Yeah. If you're really upset with me, be nice, all right? Bottom line, there's a reason why almost every girl, like all you girlfriends, why every dude that has a girlfriend, why all you ladies, almost most of you, have a small little bottle of laxatives in your purse. There's a reason. Or have the pooch. Or as they would say. Yeah, as the pooch. Okay?
So,
that's such a funny word.
I know, right?
Okay, but constipation. Yeah. Like, how much was spent on laxatives in America, just in America alone, in the last couple of years?
I'm trying to remember.
Over $300 million on laxatives, just in the States.
Just laxatives.
Just in America.
Just in America.
Okay. On laxatives, because people can't poop. Pooping is one of the most basic functions that your body has. Every species alive has to eliminate waste. They all poop. All humans are supposed to poop.
Yes.
Okay? And if you look at most mammals on the planet, pretty much all mammals as far as I know, it's supposed to be good, healthy bowel transit time. If you look at nature, it's 1 meal in, 1 meal out. You have a big meal, you have a big poop the next day. We're usually around a 24-hour cycle. Depending on what you're eating, it could be a bit longer, maybe a bit shorter. Roughly around 24 hours. Small meal, small poop, 24 hours later. You have 3 meals, 3 poops. 2 meals, 2 poops. You have 1 meal and 3 snacks. You have 1 big poop and maybe 2 small poops to break up those different snacks. Okay, like it's supposed to be you're having as much come out as you have go in, right? And it's not because like your poops a ton of food and things like that. Most of your bowel movements is going to be dead cells and proteins and things like that from your body recycling. Stuff. But there's a lot of waste that gets left over after you eat a meal. Okay, and if your body is recycling and rebuilding and regenerating on a 24-hour cycle like it's supposed to be, you're supposed to be having a healthy bowel movement for every meal that you have. We've universally been able to get that with every single one of our clients across the board. We've been doing that ourselves forever, as long as I can remember, my whole life, and as long as Elle's been around. Okay, that is just what we have found to be a very simple formula to gauge and regulate gut health. When you have healthy bowel transit time, when you're 1 meal in, 1 meal out, you are, as a default, have a much healthier balance with your microbiome. You have a much healthier immune system. You have much healthier digestive systems. You're much easier. Your body can make more bacteria. Your body can use enzymes better.
Good bacteria.
Things like that. And if your bowel transit time is not following that cycle, then that's a clear sign something's wrong. Maybe you're dehydrated. Maybe you're malnourished. Maybe you're too toxic. Maybe you have a condition that you haven't been labeled with yet, that you didn't even know you had. Just it's been normal for you for a long time, so you didn't realize there was really a problem. If you can follow that routine consistently with healthy bowel transit time, 1 meal in, 1 meal out, roughly around a 24-hour cycle, if you can find a way to get that accomplished through your diet, through your water, through your hydration, through detoxification, through exercise, through your sleeping habits, through your personal development as a person, the lifestyle choices that you make in every area, limiting going out to clubs and staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning and all these crazy things that people do these days, if you can somehow find a way to maintain that, you will just, as a default, be a very, very healthy person in your gut. It's not everything. Yes. It's not all that you can do. But if you can just look at one particular marker to gauge your gut health, it's look at your bowel movements. Okay? Ask any farmer or anybody that's ever raised animals. They all do. That's the number one thing they look at to gauge the health of their animal. You got cows, you look at the cow poop. You got chickens, you look at the chicken poop. You got foxes and hens, and you got all these things on a farm. You look at the health of the animal based off the health of their poop. and how frequent and consistent, and the size and the smell and all these things. Okay.
And the thing is too, is like even in different parts of the world, they know this. Like for human beings, like certain toilets in Europe, actually, they're designed. It's almost like in the toilet bowl, they have like a little shelf in it. Like it kind of like it's almost like a shelf, and then it kind of like drops down into the water. And it's so that when people have a bowel movement, they can look at their fecal matter properly, so they can gauge where their health is at. And so, you know, this is a really, really important thing. And, you know, for anyone who's like into health a little bit, maybe you've heard of like, oh, you know, making sure that you don't have too much bad bacteria in your body and getting rid of parasites and all these things. If you do not fix your gut health, you do not fix your bowel transit time, and you have a buildup still of human sewage, okay, of poop in your body, then you're not going to be able to get rid of those parasites. You're not going to be able to get rid and have a proper ratio of good to bad bacteria, because you're literally having crap inside of your body that's accumulating, that's staying there. You know, like, would you want food to stay on the counter for like over 24 hours and then eat it? Probably not. Well, that's what you're doing. Literally, that's what you're doing when you have fecal matter stay there for over 24 for well, I mean, it depends like on what you're eating. Sometimes they can take longer, but
there's some people
longer,
they don't even poop every day, not even once. Like some people poop like maybe once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week.
But back to what I was saying, if that fecal matter, if it stays in there longer than it's supposed to, and then it gets more and more into your bloodstream, it's as if you're eating like 2-day-old food.
Yeah.
Like literally, because you're absorbing it into, and it's getting everywhere, including your brain, including your reproductive system, ladies.
Totally.
Including your heart. Blood goes everywhere.
There's certain people that talk about conditions like Alzheimer's, for example. There's certain doctors and people and professionals that are starting to call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because of how interconnected that condition is with your gut health. Yeah. You know, and how much your gut health can affect your brain, right? So, like, for example, candida. You know, we can just talk about candida for a second, right? Candida, your gut is the perfect environment for candida to grow and thrive in, especially if you're malnourished, and especially if you're eating lots of sugar, and especially if you're acidic and all these kinds of things, and especially if you're constipated. If you are constipated, it is almost a guaranteed fact that you have candida and other forms of parasites almost every single time. I honestly don't think I've ever worked with one person that we couldn't find signs of a parasite infestation in their system during or after a detox. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, just candida. You have a bunch of candida buildup in your gut. Every time your body gets new things from your gut sent up to your brain, be that neurotransmitters, be that glucose, be that energy or electricity or whatever, you know, it's a clear 1-to-1 path for candida to get up there, straight through the blood-brain barrier. And you have all these cracks, all these crevices up in your brain, and you get all this fungus buildup, all this fungal buildup of this candida in your head, and then you get brain fog, and you get confused, you forget where you parked your car. Like, it might be normal for you guys if you haven't been around this type of scene for a long time, but I'll tell you right now, there's not a single thing natural about forgetting where you parked your car 30 minutes ago. You might not get the exact spot because it's a huge parking lot or something like that. You know, things happen. You're like, you might be distracted, but like if you consistently forget things like that, if you don't know where you put your keys down 20 minutes ago, if you forgot your child at Chuck E. Cheese, you know, like if you got short-term and long-term memory problems, like that is not natural. That is not something that you have to live with. That's not a normal thing. Normal just means popular. Normal doesn't mean good. Yeah. Normal doesn't mean right.
It's just common. That's it.
Just common. So just because everybody else your age forgets stuff all the time doesn't mean that that's supposed to be happening.
Just because most people backstab one another doesn't mean you have to. You know what I mean?
You know, and normal is completely dictated on your environment, right? Like you go down to the middle of the street in downtown Vancouver or New York or Los Angeles or something like that, you know, crack cocaine is going to be normal. Doesn't mean it's healthy for you. Doesn't mean it's a good thing. You know, normal means absolutely nothing. Has no bearing on right or wrong. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So how do we do this? All right. There's a bunch of things that can affect your gut health. And just before we close out, like to finish this off, before we cancel out the recording and then swap over to the live Q&A and stuff with everybody, let's just like put them together like a quick, you know, step-by-step point form plan. Yeah. So 3 biggest things that we talked about that can affect your gut health just very, very easily on a budget, with lots of money, with no money, with lots of time, with no time, doesn't matter, just as a human, your hydration, being hydrated, okay? Water, it is responsible for every single process that happens inside your body. Every single one.
Bit important.
You know, it can affect your gut health in so many ways, but just a real quick one-to-one connection, okay? Your body requires a lot of water to break down food, right? There's supposed to be a lot of moisture involved in the digestive process, okay? And so, for example, if you ever feel thirsty when you're eating food, that is a sign of dehydration.
Yeah.
Okay, because typically water, not typically, always water, as long as it's palatable and drinkable, not palatable, potable, is going to be a higher pH than your stomach acids. Okay, your stomach acids are like 2 to 3 pH. Super, super acidic, and it has to be that way to sterilize, to kill bacteria, trigger fermentation,
enzyme activation,
turn on enzymes, all these things, right? And so if you're feeling thirsty while you're eating, that is a sign that your body is dehydrated to the point where it's trying to get you to drink water and willingly impede digestion just so that digestion can happen at all. Okay, so you eat a bunch of food, you produce a bunch of gastric acids, and then all of a sudden you drink some water, and whether that's a 7 pH water or super high alkaline 9.5 pH water because you have an ionizer, or you're drinking from a fresh stream or something like that, you know, it will dilute your stomach acids. Okay, it'll dilute your stomach acids, it'll raise the pH of the stomach acids, and then that will slow down digestion like crazy. Yeah. Because your body is either going to have to, it's got two options. Either one, keep the valve in your stomach shut so your body has time to produce more gastric acids to, elevate how much liquid you have in your stomach and bring that pH back down by adding more acid, okay? Or two, it opens up the valve and lets the food through without the gastric acid being able to do its job properly, without fermentation happening, without full sterilization, without enzymatic activity going to 100%. And then so either way, either one, digestion takes way longer and burns up a lot more resources, a lot more minerals, a lot more enzymes, a lot more proteins and lipids and things like that you probably don't have in excess, okay? Or it sacrifices digestion and tries to compensate for the job in your stomach not getting done, and then you have to burn through more enzymes down lower in your stomach, okay, down lower in your system after it goes past your stomach, because the enzymes didn't work properly inside of the acids, and so your body has to use up more enzymes from your own reserves, not the stuff that comes into the food, assuming that it's even, made properly and you didn't denature all the enzymes in the cooking process or when preserving or pasteurizing or, packaging or whatever you're eating.
Cooking,
okay.
Yeah.
And then it has to make a lot more bacteria to try to replace the job of the enzymes because the enzymes weren't there and didn't do the job right to break down the food, to turn the proteins into amino acids, the fats to essential fatty acids, to make the minerals into bioavailable forms, all these things, right? And so your body tries to produce a bunch more bacteria to get that to happen, and then you have more bacterial levels than you're supposed to, and that can easily lead to an imbalance and things like SIBO, things like Crohn's, that sort of deal, right? And that could lead to, excess acid and cancers one day and all these kinds of things. So the pH of your stomach acids is very important.
Extremely important.
Drinking water is not something that you want to do with food, but if you're feeling thirsty while you're eating, that means you're dehydrated, okay? Yeah. Because you need to have a lot of water to break down that food. Most of the nutrients that we get from our food is water soluble, right? That means it has to be broken down and dissolved in water so that way it can be distributed throughout your body and be small enough to fit inside of a cell and get into your muscle tissue and go into your organs and all these things, right? So water and hydration is super important for many, many things, but that's just a really clear one-to-one how water is important for digestion. Your gut does all the digestion in your body.
Yeah.
So just that one thing, hopefully that kind of paints a picture, but there's so much more to it than that. But just for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave it with one example. Okay, so hydration. If you are dehydrated, you will not have a healthy gut. You will not have good digestion. You will not have a healthy gut microbiome. You will not have a strong immune system. You will not have healthy pancreas and liver and kidneys and all these things. You will not have a healthy body if you're dehydrated, but especially for your gut. It takes a lot of water in your colon to even properly move a bowel movement from the ascending to the transverse to the descending out your butt, right? And so we know mostly like 70% of the water that you drink or the moisture that you get, orally, like through your mouth, gets absorbed by your body before it even reaches your colon. So off the hop, only 30% of all the water that you ever get reaches your colon.
Yeah.
And your colon needs to be very moist and lubricated on the inside for your poop to travel through fast and easily without causing, you know, a bunch of friction and ulcers and pain and things like that, right? So you need to have a lot of water in your system for anything in your gut to work properly. Okay, yeah. Number one. Number two is going to be your diet. It's going to be the foods that you eat, the minerals and the levels of the minerals that you get from your food and your vitamins and your adequate proteins and all those kinds of things. You need to have a surplus of antioxidants. You need to have tons of phytochemicals from your plants and things like that. Those are all very beneficial for the bacteria in your body. Prebiotics that you get from your food, like fibers, you know, and starches from like rice and potatoes and broccoli and things like that. You know, those are all very helpful to make sure that you have well-fed, good bacteria in your body. And then, you know, on the flip side, cutting out bad stuff from your diet, cutting out processed foods and cutting out chemical-based sugars and salts and cutting out all these preservatives and all these crazy chemicals that they allow in food these days. Like, you know, we've been going over a big series on toxicity for our longevity formula guys. And it's just like, the amount of stuff that they allow in food today is just disgusting.
It is.
Like,
it's
there's
evil.
no other word for it. It's like, evil.
It's literally
it's
evil, you guys.
Evil.
It's not just like, oh, they add an extra salt, an extra sugar, and so it bumps up the calories. No, we're talking about chemicals that are carcinogenic. Calories
and the high levels of calories in processed foods is the least of my concerns.
The least of my, literally. Okay, you guys, we're talking about chemicals that harm your endocrine system, that can harm pregnant women, that can harm your brain,
can damage your baby.
Your literal, like,
it can make you way more likely to be born with a health condition. Because the placenta got all damaged during pregnancy, things like that. Like, let's just look at you know, movie theater popcorn. You know, diacetyl, right? It's a chemical that they use
in the butter.
In the butter.
Butter.
It's a chemical that they use as a flavor enhancer to make things taste like butter. It's a known neurotoxin. You know, MSG, monosodium glutamate. Right? That's a known neurotoxin. It's an excitotoxin. It can literally cause your brain to uptake way faster than normal and work at like 120, 150% capacity, and to the point where you could maybe get a stroke one day, or you have some kind of a seizure issue, or you faint and you pass out and you crack your head on the curb on the sidewalk or something like that. Like, just ridiculously stupid stuff.
And so many people who talk about how they're like, oh, you know, have it once in a while. Well, I'd rather have it once in a while than every day. But still, you guys, health is not like, oh, so you can put on a bikini and like get a bunch of likes on Instagram. Health is so like for the literal,
the aesthetics of it, how you look. That is such a low priority. It's cool. Priority. It's great. Having a six pack is awesome.
Great, good for you. Good job. Nice,
but it's
nice
just
job.
Not even on the top 50 list of things that you get and that make your life better from being healthy.
Like, your organs, they need to be healthy. Your gut needs to be healthy. Your brain needs to be healthy. Your skeleton, your bones need to be healthy. And you are depriving yourself of so much like in life when you are not properly nourished, and when you are consuming foods that bioaccumulate in your body that just make you more prevalent to getting sick. Like, it's genuinely bananas. Evil, you guys. Bananas. The way that they treat our animals.
Not literal bananas. Crazy bananas.
Well, there's bad bananas too, you know. But no, like, you guys, the way they treat our animals, the way that they, you know, the manufacturing of different products, the agricultural system, and like how like GMOs and pesticides and all these things, they are literally evil. They are killing people. They are harming people. They are evil. It is literally
and we don't really have time for it today, but if you guys want to learn more about this kind of stuff and you just want like a clear sign of corruption in our food industry, look up grass. Generally recognized as safe. Start doing some digging into that. Look at the history behind it. Look at what is allowed on that list and the holes and the gaps and the conflicts of interest and the people running it. It's bananas. You know, just look at that, and that will tell you everything you need to know about the system that is regulating our food. It's crazy. Okay, so sorry. Back to the plan. So get yourself hydrated. Okay, get yourself nourished properly. You know, fix malnutrition issues. Fix low nutrition levels. You know, you have too little iron, too little calcium, not getting quite enough protein, and then malnutrition on the other side too, eating way too much, too many calories, too much sugars coming in, way too much protein for your digestive system to handle. So
that's
you know,
a big
it's building up and becoming a problem. Like, undigested protein causes disease in the body universally every single time. Without question, you need to get your protein right.
And also a multivitamin does not count towards getting like the proper vitamins and minerals you need.
Yeah, supplementation.
Yes.
As the word means, right? It's to supplement. It's like it's an addition to. It's not the only source of. Like
not the only.
The amount of people that are out there these days that like they're depending on all their vitamin D from a pill versus like getting outside and getting some sunshine, or like, oh, I take a vitamin C supplements, like I'm good, and like they just never even eat an orange ever again.
Okay,
like,
we're gonna get like wait, like there's this is such a big topic.
You have to fix your nutrition, okay? And the easiest ways to do that is by eating as much whole foods as possible.
Yes.
As much stuff that literally actually comes out of the ground or eats what comes out of the ground.
Yeah.
Cut out as many products as possible. All the food that you find in your grocery store that's not in the health food aisle is not food. It is a product.
It is a product.
It is a product. It is not food. It was made and marketed and packaged and sealed for you to buy it and eat it, but it's not food. There's almost no nutritional value to it at all. The risk to reward ratio of how good something tastes versus how many years it shaves off your life, it's not even funny. It's not even like okay at all. If you eating less processed and cooked foods, helped you live like an extra, 2 or 3 years of life. Like that is so flippin' worth it. Life is a beautiful thing. Spending an extra 24 months with your friends and your family and your loved ones and running your businesses and traveling the world and doing the things that you care about. Like, come on.
Yeah,
no Twinkie on earth can touch that shit.
Nothing tastes
Excuse my language.
Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels.
Exactly. Not even close.
Like,
not even close. Not in the same universe.
No.
Okay?
No.
So, fix your digestion. Fix your nutrition and eat lots of real food. Okay? Eating lots of real food. An easy way to do that is just to spend the bulk of your food from the produce aisle and from the natural sections. Go to farmers markets, go to local farms and butchers and things like that. Okay. Just eat lots and lots of real food. Cut out the garbage, cut out the crap. It's not worth it. It's so easy to do. It's more expensive to buy packaged stuff than it is to buy a few ingredients to make it yourself anyway. If you need help with that, buy the Living Diet book. There's almost 100 recipes in there right now so far with where we're at building it out. It's on for pre-order. You pre-order it, you get into Warrior Nation, you get access to all those things early before the book's ever released, and it'll teach you everything you need to know about how to eat food.
Absolutely.
Okay? It's a system, it's a formula that will solve all your nutritional problems. But eat lots of living food. Eat lots of raw food as much as possible. Eat lots of raw vegetables and lots of raw fruits and things like that because they still have life in them.
Yes.
Okay? They still have active living enzymes and bacteria in them. They haven't been denatured or had anything added to them yet. That's very, very important. Like a good way to look at what is the right thing to do is just look at how things have always been done for thousands and thousands and thousands of years with people before we had crazy high levels of cancers and diabetes and things like that. These diseases and the conditions that we have in everyday life, it's not something that's been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Like, there's no records of everybody dying of cancers and diabetes and things like that, 150, 200 years ago, right? There's lots of stories out there that say that we're living longer now. But I mean, if you look into it, it's not a common thing. So, okay. And then point number 3, after you get yourself hydrated and after you figure out a good nutrition plan, you have to do a detox. You have to undo the damage that's been done to your body all this time. It's crazy that people don't think about this, but it's literally just as simple and obvious as doing an oil change and not changing the oil filter. Like nobody that knows anything about cars would ever do that. And if your mechanic does do that, fire him and get a new freaking mechanic and then sue him for malpractice and damages and emotional trauma.
Yes,
okay, because that's freaking crazy, right? Nobody would do that, but we do that with our bodies all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Okay? And so there is a proper order to an effective detox, and we'll have to do another episode on that because it's just a huge, broad topic.
It's such a big topic.
Bottom line, and it's funny because we're talking about the gut health, but for any successful detox to work, you have to start with the gut.
Yes.
Start with your colon, okay? Because if your colon is not working properly, if you're not eliminating things properly, you can do a kidney flush or a liver flush or any of these other cleanses and things you can find out if you have another problem in a certain part of your body that you want to clean out and cleanse, right? That's great. But let's say that you have a liver issue and you're doing a detox your liver and clean up your blood and all those kinds of things. But you suck out all these toxins from your liver. They go down to your body to be eliminated either by your kidneys or by your colon or maybe by your lungs if it's an airborne thing like some carbon dioxide or something like that. Maybe it gets pushed out through your skin, okay? But if your elimination organs are not working properly, if your different systems of elimination in the body are not functioning properly, all the toxins you're pulling out of whatever you're trying to pull them out of is going to hit a roadblock and a dead end, and it's going to have to backtrack, and then all of a sudden it gets into your blood, it starts to spread like crazy because it's not been concentrated anymore, like how your body just bottled it all up and put it in this little ball. It's all just been spread out into the open, kind of like when you put a drop of dye into the water, it just spreads instantly, you know? Same sort of idea, right? And then now you feel crappy. You're getting headaches, and you're tired, and you're sluggish, and you're nauseous, and you're just not feeling good. You know, if any of you guys have met somebody or seen anybody or had friends that have done detoxes before, like they do not feel good during the detox. Like, you know, you ever see a movie like a chick flick, and like, you know, the side character comes in and she's like, oh my God, I'm on day 3 of my cayenne pepper honey water juice fast or whatever. You know, and like looks like they're dying, and then it's like a joke and a gag in the movie. Like, that's real. Most people that do detoxes do not feel good during the detox, and that is because they're doing it out of order. They're not preparing properly ahead of time. Now that you guys are all aware of just the general idea and just the foundations around the gut health and all that kind of stuff, hopefully this opened your eyes a bit to just what is there, what needs to be done, and just, you know, kind of brought this information from the what you don't know to the at least what you know sort of thing.
So you can look into it more.
You understand that this is something you need to start learning and studying and things like that. Then now we'll do a part 2, and we'll just go straight into just as much solutions and problem solving and tips and tricks and piece of advice as possible. Because a lot of this one, like, we had to kind of pre-frame things and explain where we're coming from and just make sure you guys have, you know, like a foundational level of understanding and all this stuff. So hopefully we did that job well today. Hopefully you learned something and just you have a general better idea. Like, so it was a little all over the place, kind of like how we always do things, just really off the cuff and organic. But if you go back and you watch this maybe once or twice or 3 times, like, you're going to get something new from it every single time you watch it. There's so many gems in here and so much just jam-packed stuff, you know? So I'm going to encourage you to do that. But as you're watching through it, as you come up with questions or as you get ideas or as you find things you want to share, like all of you in Warrior Nation, you know, we'll go over into some of that with you guys right now while you're live. But comment down below on YouTube, on Spotify, on Rumble, inside of Warrior Nation, all these things. And we're going to collect all those questions and all the comments and all the feedback you guys give us. And like I said, we'll put together a part 2. And we'll just go straight into just, you know, problem solving and making sure that you guys have an actual plan.
Yeah.
You know, a full-fledged step-by-step point form plan to get this job done, because we're on a mission. You know, we need to get the whole world healthy. And like, we love doing this podcast, and we've got some great feedback, and you guys have so far been liking it a lot, and we've seen the help of quite a few people already. So we're going to continue to do that. And we want this podcast to be a huge vehicle, you know, that allows us just to help more and more people totally for free. Like, you know, we just spent an hour and a half with you guys completely for free. Didn't charge any of you anything, you know. There's people that have spent a lot of money to get that kind of time with us. Okay. But just the need for health is there. And our ability to help with that need is there. And so we're just going to do anything we possibly can to help as many of you as possible, whether, you know, you ever become a client one day or not. You know, if this podcast is here, if you have an internet connection and you have the ability to sit down and listen and take notes and study, you know, you guys will be able to get healthy eventually, you know. So that's the goal, right? We just want to help as many of you guys as we can. And so we're going to put together a part 2. We're going to put together a plan. I don't know, I have an exact timeline on that. It just kind of depends on you guys, I guess, how fast you put together all your questions and all those things. So it could be the next episode. It could be 3 episodes from now. But we will put together a part 2 and really deep dive into all this stuff way more now that we've kind of laid out the foundation.
Absolutely.
And know some of the basics. So, yeah, I mean, you know, just, honey, you want to close us out?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk too much.
Yeah. I think you already did that. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. Look, your health matters, and you know, you need to know what you need to know. Otherwise you can't do anything about it.
Absolutely.
So we hope that this was helpful. We hope that this was a beneficial, you know, use of your time.
Yeah.
And you know, we're really
if they listen all the way through, like no question, they got something out of it.
Definitely. But yeah, your health really matters. You really matter. And, you know, if you want to be happier, you have to really prioritize your health. And that's not a joke. That's not a sales pitch or something like that. This is serious. If you want
it can't be put on the side anymore.
You cannot do that. You guys, our world is becoming more polluted and more toxic every single day.
Yep.
Like literally air pollution is increasing, light pollution, noise pollution, water pollution, food pollution. Like there's so
much toxic world.
There's just more, and people are becoming more toxic for a reason. It's
and
not,
almost every toxin out there hurts your gut.
Absolutely. And if you just want to be like a more pleasant person, you want to be a more, positive person, you want to think better, like all these things, they're relating back to your gut health, to like what you're putting inside your body and what you are making sure you're getting out of your body, because you're going to be exposed to toxins regardless of like if you want to or not. Like it's just going to happen. So you need to make sure that like any toxins or any pathogens or whatever that you're exposed to, you get them out of your body. And you cannot do that if you are clogged up. If you are like, you can't. If you do not make sure you have your gut health in check, then you can't have the rest of your health in check.
Totally.
So so just thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you. We believe in you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. And I just hope you have a excellent rest of your week. Yeah, that's it. All right. Okay. So we're going to close out the recording here. So thank you guys that are all watching this on YouTube and watching the recording after. We're going to kind of close out and go transfer over to the live stream and do some Q&A with all of our Warrior Nation people. But if you got something out of this, please let us know. Yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop some comments, drop a like. If listening to this on Spotify, give us a rating, give the podcast a rating. That really, really helps us and is a way that you can support everything that we're doing. Okay. As always, if you guys get something out of this and you believe that what we're doing can help somebody, like don't just take this information and be selfish with it. Pass it on, send it to somebody else that you can know would learn from this, would get help from this. And just, if there's anybody that you can help us meet, that we can make their lives better by sharing this podcast, by sending out this episode, by doing all those kinds of things. Like, we really appreciate that, guys. And I know that your friends and your family will too. Absolutely. Because everybody gets better when their health gets better. Definitely. And everybody that has good gut health is going to be a much healthier person. Yeah, that's for sure. It's just that simple. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Awesome. Have a good one. Until next time. Thank you so much. Thank you.